Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This is the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again with your host Nick Scopes and the Gregolicious. You know how we do, cause you know we keeping it gangster and silly. Unplugged like a full swung titty. Bout get jitty, cause you know we down to the nitty and the gritty. And we make shit sound so damn pretty. Yeah, cause this unhinged comedy. And right now you're in the mix, so get ready, cause we about to get it poppin'. And we ain't stopping.
Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again. Yeah, we at it again. Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This the Mangina Dialogues.
Hello and welcome to the Mangina Dialogues. I am your host, Nick Scope.
And I'm the Gregolicious.
And today, our guest is Mr. Skin. What's up, my man?
Hey, Greg and Nick, how you guys doing?
Doing well. Did you enjoy that song or what?
Oh, yeah. Could you guys send me a tape of that? I'd really love to have that on my playlist at home.
We actually could. I think you might enjoy it.
You know what? Maybe if we get our, like that song is actually a video done by puppets. Maybe if we get our puppets to take their shirts off, we could wind up on the Mr. Skin website.
Yeah, you could either be, depending on if it's a male or a female puppet, it could be on Mr. Skin or my male nude website, Mr. Man. So.
Yeah, it would be Mr. Man. Hey, listen, maybe it's a new category.
Right. That's funny. Yeah, puppet nudity.
Hey, listen.
We used to have, there was always we always thought people wanted to us. I remember I'd get emails like, did Jessica Rabbit show vagina in the movie? We almost thought about adding cartoon characters to MrSkin.com at one point, but I thought, like, how weird would it be for, cartoon poon? That's getting a little weird.
That is insane.
We've kept it to humans, so I don't know if the puppet thing will work.
Well, if you ever decide, just let me know. We'll make up some puppets.
Yeah, you got puppets that are willing to do nudity. I like it.
It doesn't cost much. It comes cheap.
I can remember as a kid watching like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that cartoon hot lady, and I was like, oh my god, who is that? And I'm like 6 years old.
Yeah, people thought she showed vagina. So what can I tell you?
You're sick people. So listen, what are you doing these days to keep busy, or are you just deep in cuts?
Yeah, the Skin team. We've been quarantined, working from home. I have about 35 Skin employees. We have my home office is based in Chicago, but luckily we're able to still run this great website, remotely. And I actually have some of my developers, some work out of our office and live in the Chicago area where our office is, but some of my developers talk about remote. Like we have one from Russia. I know we have one in Mexico. We have one in Brazil. When you have a site like ours, you have not only an in-house team, but you have a remote team of developers. So that's always interesting. But yeah, we can't wait to get back in our office. We have a really fun office, but we got to wait this out like everyone else. But yeah, it is what it is. And I know, one of the things I did notice though is, if you think about it, there's no professional sports going on. You can't watch baseball or hockey or basketball, and everyone's watching all these shows on Netflix and streaming. But I think the next thing is, having the internet and having a website you can go to like ours and enjoy female nudity is good in these times. So that's why I'm happy to that we're able to still work and people still want to check out MrSkin.com even with everything going on.
Yeah, I mean it's quite the website, obviously, and you're going on almost 20 years, or maybe now over 20 years.
I launched the website on August 10th of 1999, and last August was my 20th anniversary, which it's really incredible because it's not just that this crazy story, because like every guy, you guys included, all your friends, we all like as when you start hitting your teens in high school, when you'd see a nude scene in a movie or television show, that's what we all talked about, and that's what we all remember, and we love to rewind and all that stuff. I just figured out how to make a living off of what everyone was doing, and the fact that I was able to do this for 20 years is a pretty incredible story, and here I am in my 21st year.
That's amazing. So what do you remember what the first nude scene you ever saw was as a kid?
Well, yeah, one of the very first I ever saw was when I was in high school, and my dad got cable television, and I also got this thing called a Betamax, which is basically a VHS player, and I taped a movie called Bobby Joe and the Outlaw, which was a 1976 drive-in movie that probably would have just played for a few weeks in the drive-in theaters in the 1970s and lived in complete obscurity until this thing called cable television was invented a couple years later, and I taped the movie, and that's what how I got on this whole thing. I used to tape all the movies I could with nudity and save the nude scenes. Well, that was one of the first movies I ever taped, and in the first 33 minutes, Linda Carter, better known as the original Wonder Woman,
of course,
was naked 4 times in the first 33 minutes, including a scene where she goes skinny dipping with a big Indian chief while doing mushrooms. So I figured if Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, was naked, who else was out there? And I've been on a quest ever since.
And it's quite the quest, and us guys definitely thank you for taking that journey.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you what, fast forward 20 years, and I really truly believe that even though there were great moments in history of movies and television and cable and all that, I really think we're in the golden age of celebrity nudity when you think about the fact of how many platforms there are, all the streaming services. I mean, Netflix, 10 years ago, Netflix didn't exist, and Hulu and Amazon for original programming. But think about all the movies and television shows we get from those services now. In fact, it's way more. I think it was 144, last I counted, 144 active television shows, that feature female nudity, and pretty much an equal number that feature male nudity right now. And that's just great for what I do for a living. There's just so much content to go through, and you need a service like ours that goes through all this stuff, because you guys, as pervy as you might be, you don't have the bandwidth to go through all this stuff, and that's what we do for a living.
We definitely lack the bandwidth, if not anything else. So, I imagine that there must be. I mean, I'm familiar with you from the Howard Stern show for all these years, and I occasionally, or almost every time I heard you on, it always comes up like, who's the most sought after nude scene that's eluded the nudity world? Does that change?
Well, I'll give you a couple of mine. I know, just for instance, just based on maybe over the last 10 years, just search results at our website, like actresses that people search a lot that haven't done a nude scene. A great example would be Mila Kunis, who is obviously a very famous actress, and she did a movie, called Friends with Benefits, where her character was nude, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where her character was nude, but in each case, they were body doubles. That wasn't her. So she's an actress who's never done a nude scene that I know, based on the searches we get at MrSkin.com, that guys would really love her to do a nude scene. I mean, others, for me personally, I love Christina Hendricks, the office manager from Mad Men, the redhead with the huge breasts. I always wish she'd have done a nude scene. She hasn't. So there's plenty of them out there. Raquel Welch historically is one that I think that people would wish did a nude scene that never did. But every era has their actresses we all wish did a nude scene.
Yeah,
I feel you, man. One of the questions I had for you, because the first time I heard about Mr. Skin's website was when I was watching the movie Knocked Up.
Oh, yeah.
And they mention you, and they're like, Mr. Skin, that scene with Paul Rudd, and just smiling at him, doing the imitation logo.
That's cool. Because I always tell people that most people know MrSkin.com from, if I had to say, like, what are the two biggest reasons people know of my website, one would be the Howard Stern show, because I've been a guest, probably 25 times in my life. And then the other would be the movie Knocked Up, which came out on June 1st of 2007. And I knew in advance that they were going to mention me in the movie, because the lawyers for Universal to put out the movies hit us up and hit me up and asked, if we could sign something letting them use my website. But and I was totally cool with it. They didn't tell me how they were going to use it, and I'm still happy I signed it. But they when that movie came out, I mean, you got to remember, Knocked Up made like $250 million. So many people saw it. It's one of those movies, like, for me as a kid, like Animal House and Stripes and Caddyshack were like our go-to comedies, whereas maybe for the younger generation of guys that are younger than me, like 20 years younger than me, they're Knocked Up and Superbad and Pineapple Express are their kind of movies, that they could quote all the lines. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That's awesome. You see a big bump in views when that happened? Was it like, oh shit?
Yeah. Well, I remember in so that movie came out in June. So in like the second half of 2007, our traffic was up like 25% after that movie came up. And the other thing about Knocked Up, which is so cool, is it still airs on cable television. Not to mention, there's a lot of places it airs where they bleep out the swear words and the nudity, and so it's one of those movies that's always playing. It's always going, and every time that movie plays anywhere in the world, they're basically promoting MrSkin.com. I mean, you can't get much better product placement. The guys for half the movie are working on a website where you can see female celebrities nude, and then they realize MrSkin.com exists, and they just stop. And they show the website, and they go, we can't beat this. I mean, we quit. And, I always joke, like, E.T. Reese's Pieces is probably the only thing better as far as a movie a product placement in a movie. It was fantastic.
So,
that's awesome.
Just going back to the Mila Kunis mentioned a few minutes ago. So what do you do? Do you not, like, obviously there is a scene in that movie where there's her boob on the wall in the bathroom. Do you not reference that? Or, like, how do you take the body double side of stuff when someone searches Mila Kunis and it's not really her, but it's supposed to be her?
Yeah, we show it, and then we show the scene, but point out that the scene is a body double and tell you that. So, so that's why, we still rate the scene for nudity, but we're very clear in the description and everything else that it's a body double, because one of the things we try to be as the experts on female celebrity nudity at Mr. Skin is we don't want to trick people into thinking, what they're seeing is
right.
not. There's nothing in it for us. Our accuracy and our expertise is above and beyond everything else. So, so if you went to Mila Kunis's page at our website, you'd see the movies where her character was nude. You'd see the scenes, but we point out that, hey, don't believe the hype. This butt is a body double, and we rate her as non-nude, never having been nude.
Right. And then, do you ever name names of the body doubles?
When we know them, if we know who the body double is, we definitely will. But it's normally the directors or who don't want you to know it's a body double, but we're pretty good at that. I remember there's a famous movie from 1980 called Dress to Kill.
Yeah.
And it's the first 2 minutes of the movie, Angie Dickinson is in the shower, and she's fantasizing in the shower, and she even, like, takes the soap, and it was very graphic. She goes down and she's rubbing her vagina and everything, but that scene was an actual former Penthouse pet named Victoria Lynn Johnson, and that's one of the rare times we actually knew and can reference it, but that's a famous example of one, I would say.
Have any body doubles or any like do the girls or guys for that matter, on the other website, do they ever reach out to you guys and ask you to take stuff down, or be like, "Oh, that's not me," or "That's Sheila's left ass"?
Well, if someone said we had inaccurate information, or that what the director said and what the person's name was, if that ever happens, of course we'd fix it. But we're pretty good on that, and the credits are usually very accurate. It's not too often where, and the other thing too is we're pretty good at knowing when it's a body double. I should say there's one famous thing, if we're on the subject of body doubles. There's a 1992 movie called Death Becomes Her, with Bruce Willis and Meryl Streep and a bunch of other actors and actresses. And there's a famous scene where Isabella Rossellini's walking towards Bruce Willis completely naked, or at least her character is. But at the time, Catherine Bell, who would go on to be a famous television star, was a lowly body double at that point, and she actually did the nude scene in place of Isabella Rossellini, but nobody knew who Catherine Bell was at the time. Well, right. It's one of the rare instances where the body double is actually more famous, or more someone you would want to see nude more than the actual actress, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. So are you a numbers guy? Like, do you have a visual memory that you can remember insane amounts of stuff? Because obviously I've heard you on the Stern Show for 20 years now, basically. And every time I hear you like rattle this stuff off, like it's sitting in front of you in a book.
Yeah, it is. When it comes to this topic, yes. But it's funny, like if I was at a party and my wife like introduced me to someone, like, 20 minutes later, I'd say to her, what was her name again? Yeah, right. So I don't think I have this exceptional brain. I just think that I have an exceptional brain when it comes to female celebrity nudity, because I've devoted my life to the topic, and I definitely am a numbers guy when it comes to remembering time codes, because you got to remember when I was collecting all this stuff before I had the website, I was the guy fast forwarding through all these movies and having to know like where to go to get it, and what exact time to stop the tape, and where the best nude scenes were, so I could tell my friends. So that I've been doing it a long time, and well over 20 years, and I guess it's that like you have friends that know stupid stuff. I just happen to know nudity.
Did you ever think this was like what you were going to do for a living at any point? Were you
No. I mean, I was in my mid-30s. I was working as a clerk at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. I wasn't even a broker. I was just watching desks, flashing in orders, putting orders into the pit, and I was looking at the clock every day, like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? I'm single. I'm mid-30s, have nothing going on. What the hell? And then this internet thing came along, and I had just been, for 10 years, or for a little longer, like 20 years, just had been studying this nudity stuff, and finally got a chance when the internet launched to start Mr. Skin, and here we are, 20 years later. How could that be?
That's wild. How have you?
Yeah,
it's so interesting. Like, it's just you're like mid-30s, and all of a sudden you find this.
Well, I tell people, listen, I was in my mid-30s. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I was not making a lot of money. I didn't have anything in savings. I was going nowhere. And I think it does prove that you never know. If you keep working, you keep trying. But I will say this. I think if I was making like good money, not Mr. Skin good money, but like good money for a mid-30s guy that didn't have a lot of, didn't have kids or a house or anything, I don't know if I would have taken the chance to quit the Merc and do this, And it's almost like because I was a failure, I became a success. It was like if I was doing well, and believe me, back then, well wasn't that much money. If I was doing well, I would have been afraid. I would have been afraid to leave my clerk job to start this website, but. Luckily, I was a bit of a failure and was going nowhere, and it gave me the confidence to, I had nothing to lose by starting this website, in other words.
So how long did it take from the time you like you started doing it full time or really dedicating
Yeah,
yourself to it
well,
to where it started making
well,
money to support you, and
yeah.
35 people.
What happened was, I was in a bar and my friends were quizzing me on actresses. This was in like '96, maybe '97, somewhere around there. And I was in Chicago. I had to be up early in the morning, but I'm out with my friends, and they start quizzing me on actresses, and I'm drinking beers, rattling off all these time codes and names, and they're, it was just a fun kill time, goofy thing that my friends would always do with me. And then, this guy had a radio show in Chicago. He overheard the whole, he heard the whole thing because he was sitting, he was like at his back to us, and he said, "Would you come on my show and do this? I think people would really like it." So, I didn't really want to do it, but I did, and came up with Mr. Skin, and I went over there thinking I'd do it one time, and it became very popular. So I became like a local Chicago celebrity on the radio for a couple of years with nothing to promote, no book, no website, no nothing. Just did it for fun. And then someone came up to me in about '98 and said, "Dude, you got to put what's in your head into a website." And I didn't even know what a website was. I really didn't. And anyway, I had a meeting with him. He convinced me. I raised a little money, wasn't that much, for my brother-in-law and a trader at the Merc. And it took me working like 18-hour days for like a year for the content because I didn't have anyone to help me. It was just me. And I had one tech guy that I used some of that money to pay. And then, so it was about a year full time, like big long days. But I launched on August 10th of '99. It wasn't like an instant success. Like we were getting signups. I did get a join in the first 5 minutes, but it was like for $4.95. But I did. It was going okay, but then like 6 months into it, I got on the Stern show, and it blew up from there. And then like we got like 1,000 people join that day, and I don't even know. I should have had 10,000 joins. I just couldn't handle the traffic. People couldn't move. The site was like just overwhelmed. But that got me going. Then I started to go back on Stern, and been doing it for 20 years now, and it's been just a big part of why the website's a success. But it wasn't an overnight success. Like I said, it was that first Stern appearance in 2000, March of 2000, that was kind of the big turning point as far as making money.
Yeah. So as far as like, there's so much access to everything nowadays, right?
Yeah.
You started this in the late '90s, early 2000s. The internet was kind of just starting up. What have you guys done to stay like, as popular as you are and relevant now? Because there's everything.
Yeah, it's a great question, and people can't believe that there are people that are still willing to pay a subscription, for content that is, quote, free. But you also have to remember that, like, what I said at the beginning of this interview is there's never been more content. And how do you know what's out there unless, I have 30 people working full time, 10 of them are in content going through every movie and television show, every new release on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, the whole, Stars, whatever it is. And we are writing reviews on what's the best, shows for nudity, what are the best nude scenes. I do my Anatomy Awards every year. We do fun things like during the NCAA tournament, our Whack-It Bracket every year. We do top 10 lists. We do tons of playlists that are just compilation tapes of the best of different categories. So people are willing to, for that level of expertise and a one-stop shop for everything else, willing to pay like, $10 a month or $20 a month or whatever it is, based on where you come from, to have access to all that information. And for some people, and I get it, for others, guys, they just want to go to porn sites and jerk off. I get it, not a problem. But if you're in the celebrity nudity and actresses and a database that his goal is to to review and show every female celebrity nude scene in the history of movies or television, some people are willing to pay for it, and we don't need every guy to have to pay. We just need a small percentage of the 5 million visitors a month we get to do so.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you always see when like celebrity sex tapes get dropped or something like that. The hits that they get are incredible. You know, like
Oh my God.
porn. Like, you know, I go to Pornhub right now, and there's access to almost everything. But a thing about a celebrity, it changes it. Like, it's like, oh, it's so rare, and it's you know, it's hard to find depending on like how that actor actress like career has progressed and everything.
Yeah, and I also think that with celebrity, it's a different thing. Like, if you go to Pornhub, those women aren't celebrities. You don't know them. You're just seeing this hot girl having sex. Cool. I get why you'd like that. But if it's a celebrity, like if I said that, you know, Jennifer Aniston had a great topless scene in a new movie, you could see, and it was only 5 seconds. You'd still want to see it, even though there's no comparison in the level of, you know, sex and nudity in a porn thing. But if I told you could watch you could watch, you know, a week of Pornhub for free, or see Jennifer Aniston topless for $9, which are you going to do? You know, you probably want to see Jennifer Aniston. You know what I'm saying? There's a lure with celebrity that's different from porn. You know.
Has Jennifer Aniston ever done a nude scene?
I knew you'd ask. Well, do you guys remember that movie with Vince Vaughn called The Breakup?
Yeah.
Yeah, when she walks out of the bathroom. Yep. Yeah,
that scene at the 57-minute mark. There's I always recommend for people to rent the full screen version of that, because you see more of her butt as she walks down the hallway. So definitely check that out. She also did a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal called The Good Girl in 2002.
Yeah.
And 25 minutes in, you can see her some boob in bed. So Jake Gyllenhaal is laying on top of her, but he lifts up enough so you can see some breasts.
So is there?
What about what are the numbers on Jessica Biel? She's one of my favorites. Is there anything on her?
What do you mean the numbers? You mean has she ever been naked?
Yeah, she ever been naked and what? Mark? I want to see.
I thought you meant. Okay, I wasn't sure what you were saying. Well, she did this weird movie about 10 years ago called Powder Blue that no one saw, and she plays a stripper, and she's up on stage, and oh my God! See, this is why you need Mr. Skin.
I had no idea. All right, guys, I'll see you. I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Well, look,
to go.
This is a spectacular nude scene. She's up on stage. The scene lasts for over 3 minutes, and she is topless and caps it off by pouring candle wax on her breasts. It's very erotic, very hot, especially for someone who doesn't do much nudity-wise. It's really amazing. She also did a TV show called The Sinner a couple years ago. In the very first episode, she checked into prison, and they show her butt from behind. And by the way, Jessica Biel's butt, one of the best in the business. So, yeah, but check that Powder Blue out. And I'm sure you've never even heard of that movie, but Jessica Biel did.
Nope.
I heard of it. So is there anyone, like, have you been stumped? And if you are stumped, how often do you get stumped?
No, you know, I really don't get stumped. The only way I might is if someone knows about something that hasn't come out yet. But, you know, that's like I don't have a crystal ball for future nudity, but when it comes to stuff that's already happened, I'm pretty darn good at it. So.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Like the whole thing is nuts. Like your memory, I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning.
Yeah. Well, I guess nudity is more exciting.
It definitely is, and I still can't remember what I had for breakfast. So, like, where do you see like the future of the whole business for you, or is it just what it is, or do you look to do other things?
I don't know. One of the things, for me personally, I don't know. I don't see myself being Mr. Skin. Which, by the way, is the name of my book, Being Mr. Skin, which came out last year and for our 20th anniversary, by the way, if you want to check that out. But I don't see myself being Mr. Skin much longer. I'll probably give it a couple more years, and then I'll either probably sell this business or let my guys run the business, but I'll step away as kind of the face of it. Because I was thinking, like, now that I have kids and I have a daughter now that's a sophomore, I have a daughter that's in 6th grade, I have a son that's in 8th grade, and I've always thought that as I get older, it's going to be kind of weird to be doing this. So I love it, and I'm proud of it, and I'm really, grateful that I've been able to do this for 20 years. But probably do it a couple more years, and then either sell the business or let my guys run the business. But I'll stop being the face of it and do interviews and stuff. But
Right.
We'll see. Who knows? That's kind of what I'm thinking in my head. But who knows?
Because I mean, Stern through the years has always asked you, like, I'm sure, why haven't you sold? I'm sure you've gotten a million offers, and I've heard those questions posed before.
I know a lot of people would love to buy this website, and when you have a website that makes money and gets 5 million visitors a month, I see I would think someone that owns some of those big tube porn sites would be interested, or someone that owns dating sites would be interested in it, or a cam company. And we've had people, sniffing around a little, but I've always loved doing this, and I have a great team, and I love the people that work for me, and I've never felt really a need to. But as I get older, I'm thinking about it. So we'll see what happens. But for now, I'm happy that we're still around and things are going well, and we'll see what the future holds.
Maybe when it's all over, you can go back to the CME and be like, "Ha, suckers, I'm back."
Yeah, right. Well, we'll see. Yeah, maybe that whoever, if I retire, someone will have to step up and learn all these new things, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's probably a lot of guys trying, but I don't know if there's anyone as good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's not as easy as you think. It's funny. Even if you guys know, like, you saw a nude scene and you remember it, to like get asked the question and to know the answer, like, as it's coming out of the guy's mouth, it's hard. It's not as easy as you think.
Cheetah Rivera.
What
What's that?
I said Cheetah Rivera.
Yeah.
The answer is no. And if it was, we wouldn't want to know what it is. Anyway.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's funny. One of the things is with the popularity of Tiger King, we've been getting a lot of searches for Carol Baskin.
Oh, jeez.
People wondering if Carol Baskin's ever been nude. The answer is no, if you guys are wondering. So that's been a hot show over the last month. So.
Well, thanks for clearing that up. We'll stop all the searches we can.
What's one of your favorite nude scenes or favorite celebrity that you've seen nude of all time? Like, what's the most memorable for you? I know you told us your first one you saw. What's the best one for you?
Well, I really think, it's not that I think, but what I usually tell people, the all-time, my favorite nude scene would have to be Phoebe Cates in Fast Times at Ridgemont High from 1982. I love the movie. I love, she was so, to us young guys back then, she was like on Tiger Beat magazine and Teen Beat and all that. So I was a big fan of hers, and to see her do that nude scene in slow motion with the cars moving the stereo and the water and the fantasy and the music, the whole thing, it's, to me, the greatest celebrity nude scene of all time. But there's been, and people ask me, like, do you get tired of nudity, or like, is it not as big a deal? And I remember just a couple of years ago when Alexandra Daddario was in the first season of True Detective, in the very first season, the second episode, when she did that scene with Woody Harrelson where she was nude, I remember I turned to my wife and go, "That's going to be the best nude scene of the year," and I was so like blown away by how great that was. So I don't get tired of that nudity, but if I had to say my favorite of all time would be Phoebe Cates in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
It's a good choice. That is a good choice.
I mean, I'm not saying it could be argued. I mean, there's many great nude scenes. I could tell you that the most famous nude scene of all time would have to be Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct. I mean, to me, more people know that nude scene. It's been parodied. It's been referenced. It's just, people could dress up for her as Halloween and you know what's going on. But Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct, the lake cross scene, is probably the most famous nude scene ever.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that one.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think I went to the movies like 3 times just to see that when I was.
Well, it's funny when that movie, when you get, back in the day when they had Blockbuster and stuff, like people would rent that movie, and that moment, at the 27-minute mark when she crosses her legs, would always be like really blurry and all squiggly because so many people that rented it had paused it on that exact moment. So it's it's the most paused nude scene of all time, definitely.
Yeah, it holds up.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
No question.
All right, man. Well, listen, this was really awesome. A thrill for me personally. I've been listening to you for years on the Stern Show, and obviously fans of your work.
Yeah, thanks.
So besides the website, is there anything else you want to get out there? I mean, you mentioned your book from last year.
No, just just like I said, MrSkin.com. We've been here fast forwarding to the good parts for over 20 years. So stop by the website if you've never heard of it, or if you have heard of it and want to see what's new, definitely. Or I have a book out. You can order it at Amazon. I know a lot of people are looking for things to do these days, called Being Mr. Skin, which is kind of my story, the 20-year history of, MrSkin.com and how it came about, and the story behind this whole goofy, crazy thing. So you could check that out also.
All right, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for your time. Good luck.
Yeah, Greg and Nick, thanks for having me, guys. Good luck with the podcast, and thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Really appreciate it.
For sure, man.
Stay safe.
All right, guys.
Healthy to your family.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah, same to you guys.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Uneducated.